Chapter 581. I am fine with it. I have been wanting to see the Savage Ruin Ancient Place for a long time. Yichen nodded. He had heard that the Savage Ruin Ancient Place was a training ground for all of the martial geniuses in the Sky Martial region. After reaching the Sea of Souls realm, if one did not go there before, they would be laughed at by others. Of course, most of the people would not go there just for the sake of their reputation. The reason that the Savage Ruin Ancient Place could attract people was because of its great value. It maintained the ancient style, and some of the rare spirit plants were not that rare in the outside world. Plus, the evil chi seemed to be very threatening, but it could actually strengthen the warrior's will. Swoosh! Yin Fengfeng took out a broken map from her storage ring and opened it. In the past, entering the savage desolate ancient land depended on luck. This time, I accidentally found an incomplete map. The area shown on the map is roughly southeast of the savage desolate ancient land. If we can find this area, it will make our exploration a lot safer. As she spoke, Yin Fengfeng showed the map to the other four. Yi Chen's eyes landed on the incomplete map and saw the shocking red dots marked on it. These red dots were all dangerous places, and according to the color of the red dots, the danger of those places could be determined. The red dots that were full of evil chi were the most dangerous. Besides that, there were other dots with different colors as well. But it did not mean that it was not dangerous. After all these years, who knew what had changed in the Savage Ruin Ancient Place? The map could not tell everything, not to mention that it was just a broken map. It would be easier with a map than just running around randomly. Wuxia could tell the value of this map. If he took it out to auction, it would be a couple of times more valuable than a top-rank weapon. Putting away the map, Yin Fengfeng said, "Let's not waste time. Let's go now. With the speed of the flying ship, we should be able to get there in 4 days." A huge silver ship that was dozens of meters long floated in the air. It was a massive puppet ship, which was even more valuable than Yi Chen's flying puppet. The puppet flying ship from the Puppet Martial School. I have wanted to have one for a long time, but unfortunately, I did not get the chance. Wuxia jumped in first, looking very familiar. It was obvious that he had worked with Yin Fengfeng before. Waiting until everyone was standing on the flat and spacious deck, Yin Fengfeng's forehead shone, and a red flame shot out from the back of the ship. A powerful counterforce acted on the ship, increasing its speed drastically. With a flash, it was already miles away. Yin Fengfeng, your luck has always been better than mine. In the future, when you get a better treasure, you have to sell this flying ship to me. Wuxia could not forget it. Yin Fengfeng chuckled. This flying ship is not easy to come by. If you want to find a puppet that is better than this, I am afraid there is no hope. Guanqin said, "Sister Yen, what is the function of this flying ship?" Wuxia answered for Yin Fengfeng. This flying ship is a top-of-the-top-rank puppet ship. Its speed can reach 8 times the speed of sound, and the defensive layer on the outside can block dozens of spirit warriors' full-power attacks. Even a couple of master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors would not be able to break through it within a short period of time. Besides the defensive layer, there are a couple of puppet cannons on the ship, each of which has the power of a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior's full-power attack. It can kill anyone below master level. Even master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors would not be able to handle the continuous attacks from the cannons. So powerful. Guanqin sucked in a cold breath. It is indeed a rare treasure. Yi Chen compared it and realized that besides the speed advantage of his flying puppet, everything else was not worth mentioning. Yin Fengfeng said to Yi Chen, "Your flying puppet should also be made by the Puppet Martial School, right?" Yi Chen nodded. "It is way worse than your flying ship." "You cannot say that. My flying ship consumes a lot of top-rank spirit stones, so it has to cover everything. Your flying puppet is much smaller, so it can only focus on one thing." With Yin Fengfeng's wealth, she would not use the flying ship for no reason either, because of its huge size. Just flying it would consume a lot of top-rank spirit stones. And if it were to be used in battle, it would consume a lot of top-rank spirit stones. Yi Chen remained silent. Through his soul power scan, He realized that there were yuan qi transmission channels all over the flying ship, and a huge amount of spirit stones and yuan qi were being sent up from the depths of the ship. It was endless, and the consumption rate was shocking. Based on his initial estimation, the transmission speed and quantity would be 10 times more than the flying puppet. The night got darker, and the flying ship disappeared into the darkness. The next day, it was sunny and sunny. Yi Chen and the rest stood on the deck, watching the clouds outside. What a puppet ship! It must be Yin Fengfeng, right? Not far away, a massive tiger with wings on its back approached them. On its back stood 7 to 8 young men. The leading young man had a huge body and a powerful aura. His eyes were like lightning, shining brightly. The person next to him was no weaker than him in terms of aura, having a wolf-like aura and a cold look in his eyes. Yin Fengfeng said lightly, "So it is Machi Lu, haha. Savage ruin ancient place. Do not let me see you. Who knows, I might try to take your flying ship by force." The young man named Machi Lu laughed. The massive tiger with wings on its back flapped its wings, flying past the flying ship at a high speed. This guy is still so arrogant. Hai Wuxia made a face. Head disciple, is he the young master of the Sky Tiger race Machi Lu? Guanqin knew quite a bit. Indeed, the Sky Tiger race is a demi-beast ancient king race, which is way more powerful than normal demi-beast king races. This guy's personality is not that great, but he is still very powerful. That person next to him should not be underestimated either. He is the second son of the demi-beast king race, blue-eyed white wolf Ao family, Ao Wubai. His power is not weaker than Machi Lu's. Ao Wubai from the Ao family. Yi Chen's expression changed. He did not expect to run into people from the Ao family here. The blue-eyed white wolf bloodline of the Ao family had left a deep impression on him. Of course, we do not have to be afraid of them. Machi Lu's ancestor, the Sky Tiger King, was just like Yin Fengfeng's Blue Phoenix in terms of potential. He only had the bloodline of the Sky Tiger King. Although Hai Wuxia said that, he actually did not want to boost the others' morale. If they really fought, it would be hard to tell who would be the more powerful one. After all, Yin Fengfeng was only at rank 9, which was equivalent to mid-sea of Soul's realm. Even if the Blue Phoenix's potential was unparalleled, and it would not be weaker than any beast below the king level, it was still too low after all. Yin Fengfeng said, "The Sky Tiger race is good at speed. The special ability from the Sky Tiger bloodline can shake souls, which is very powerful. Demi-beasts have special abilities as well. It should be very hard to train, right?" Yi Chen said. Yin Fengfeng nodded. Only when the density of the demi-demon race's bloodline reaches a certain level would it be able to have special abilities. But I heard that the perfect demi-demon bloodline of the demi-demon family would have even more powerful special abilities. Unfortunately, the demi-demon family has fallen too much, and there are not that many of them left. Indeed, they have fallen too much. The Yuan family seemed to be very powerful, but when it came to the whole continent, they were obviously not as powerful. It probably had something to do with the Yuan family's aggressive style, trying to control all the demi-demon families. Whatever benefits there were, the Yuan family would be the first to get it, while the other demi-demon families would be left behind. Furthermore, the demons' martial arts would not be shared either. If it went on like this, it would be weird if they could become powerful at all. However, Yuan Ye's special ability was indeed not weak. In fact, it was very powerful. I wonder what kind of special ability Morong will have when she reaches the Sea of Soul's realm. Yi Chen was looking forward to it. "Alright, Sister Yen, what is your special ability?" Guanqin suddenly asked. Yin Fengfeng laughed. "You will see it in the Savage Ruin ancient place." Demi-beasts had special abilities, and so did the perfect demi-demon bloodline. As the Blue Phoenix, how could Yin Fengfeng not have a special ability? What was for sure was that her special ability would not be weaker than the perfect demi-demon bloodline. Time passed by one day after another. On the 4th day, in the morning, the 5 had finally arrived at the edge of the Savage Ruin ancient place. Looking over, the sky in front of them was all gray, like a massive barrier that had separated the sky and the earth. There are strong barriers and weak ones. We need to find a weak spot to attack. Yin Fengfeng directed the flying ship to fly, her eyes filled with blue flame as she scanned the barrier. Yi Chen pointed in front of them. There is the weakest spot. Oh. Hai Wuya and Yin Fengfeng looked at Yi Chen with surprise. In such a short time, they would not be able to find the weak spot. They did not expect Yi Chen to be able to tell it with just one glance. This kind of observation was indeed shocking. Without any time to waste, under Yin Fengfeng's control, a huge cannon rose up from the front of the flying ship. There was a powerful fire element yuan qi accumulating at the mouth of the cannon, which eventually turned into a dark red light bullet. Boom! The light bullet shot out in a straight line, landing on the weak spot of the gray barrier. Kacha! The barrier was broken, and a tunnel that was dozens of meters wide and long appeared. The edge of the tunnel was dark red, which was obviously the result of the compressed fire element yuan qi. Let's go! The flying ship increased its speed and rushed into the tunnel. Sword of the Heaven and Earth. At this moment, a group of young men appeared in the air not far away from them. The leader of the group used his finger as a sword and pointed at the sky. Heaven and earth yuan qi gathered and condensed into a huge sword shadow in front of him. The sword shadow flashed and pierced a big hole in the barbarian barrier in front of them. Looking over his shoulder, Hai Wuya's pupil shrank. It is Tai Shichong. Who? The flying ship entered the tunnel. Tai Shichong is one of the top 3 young sword masters. I did not expect him to be here as well. This man is extremely powerful. He can use the heaven and earth as his sword. Judging on attacking power, he is right behind the top 5 young warriors. Even Duan Lingya from the Ice Spirit Martial School had been defeated by him before. How could anyone that Hai Wuya paid attention to be someone ordinary? Even when he was facing Lin Ku and Duan Lingya, he didn't have such an expression. After all, the former's strength was on par with his, and the latter's attributes were the bane of his, not much stronger than his. Very powerful. Do not fight with him unless it is absolutely necessary. There were a lot of rare treasures in the savage ruin ancient place, and some of them were enough to start a bloody battle. Yin Fengfeng was not afraid of Tai Shichong. She was not even afraid of the top 5 young warriors, and there was still a gap between them. But she was fast, and the others were much slower. If she were to fight with Tai Shichong, someone would definitely die. Yeah. Ling Tianhao and Guan Qin both nodded. Tai Shichong was too famous, and was no weaker than Yin Fengfeng. If they were to fight with him, they would not be confident at all. Yi Chen glanced at Tai Shichong, who was outside of the tunnel. That sword qi on his body seemed to be shooting up into the sky. It was the sword qi connection between 2 top sword artists. If they ran into each other, they would either be friends or enemies. There would be no third choice. Shoo! The tunnel was very long, and the flying ship soon disappeared into the deep end. Chapter 582. As soon as they entered the savage, desolate ancient grounds, everyone felt a change in the heavens and the earth, as if they'd arrived at the chaotic ancient times. Boundless and vast savage qi assaulted their faces, and the majestic aura caused their true essence to stop circulating, causing the circulation speed of their true essence to suddenly decrease by half. The sky here was gray, heavy and oppressive. The ground was slightly dark, hard and solid. The mountains were steep and dangerous with sharp edges. The river was fast-flowing and crisscrossing. If the outside world gave them the feeling of being bright and lively, then the savage ruin ancient place gave them the feeling of being solid, with a sense of history and danger. This is the savage ruin ancient place. This is the ancient savage land. It is indeed different from the outside world. It is also different from most of the forbidden areas. If the forbidden areas are like poisonous snakes, then the ancient savage land is like a ferocious beast. It was Ling Tianhao's first time coming to the ancient savage land. He couldn't help but compare the ancient savage land to the forbidden areas. Yin Fengfeng said, although some of the forbidden places are in different places, and do not have any contact with the land, they are not as big as the savage ruin ancient place. Hai Wuya said, actually, there are forbidden places in the savage ruin ancient place as well. There are a lot of unknown things, and no one has been able to fully understand them until now. Hai Wuya and Yin Fengfeng had been here twice, so their knowledge of the place was way beyond the other three. So they were not surprised at all. Such a dangerous evil qi. It has combined with the natural environment. Yi Chen lifted up his right hand, seeming to have sensed something invisible. You have also sensed the evil qi. Hai Wuya was a bit surprised. Most of the people knew that there was evil qi in the savage ruin ancient place, but the people who had just entered could not sense its existence at all. The evil qi here was like a slow poison, invading the warriors' bodies without them noticing. By the time they sensed it, they would have already been poisoned by the evil qi. I can barely sense it. Yi Chen faintly nodded. The void-shattering finger art contained the space mentality. So how could the savage evil qi hidden in the void escape his senses? If he could comprehend the void-shattering finger art to 60% and comprehend the space profound, he would even be able to distinguish the density of the savage evil qi. Impressive. Judging only on perception, there are not many people who are more powerful than you. Hai Wuya sighed. Kacha. The barrier next to them was broken open, and Tai Shichong and the rest flew in. Yi Chen and the other four looked over. There were 6 people in this group, and the leader was indeed one of the top 3 sword master warriors, Tai Shichong. He was wearing a yellow robe, looking skinny with a sharp look in his eyes. There was a long sword with a sharkskin sheath on his waist. As he walked, the natural qi was affected by his sword qi, turning sharp. Besides Tai Shichong, there were 2 other people who had caught Yi Chen's attention. They were a pair of twin brothers, and their appearance and temperament were very similar. One of them was tall and muscular, while the other had wide shoulders and long legs, which made him look even taller. As Yi Chen and the other 4 looked at them, they looked over as well, revealing a faint smile on their faces. Let's go. Tai Shichong glanced at Yin Fengfeng, and did not even look at the others. As he spoke, he led the group and flew out. Waiting until Tai Shichong and the other 5 walked away, Ling Tianhao said in annoyance. What kind of look is that? So arrogant. Hai Wuya laughed. Why should we care about other people's attitude? We are here to explore. If we really run into each other, then we will have to rely on our own power. Hai Wuya is right. Brother Ling, your mentality is still lacking a little bit. You need to train more. Yin Fengfeng said. Ling Tianhao smiled embarrassedly. It is getting late. Let's go. Yi Chen suggested. Yeah, let's find the area on the map first. As they spoke, the 5 flew toward the southeast direction. The savage ruin ancient place was extremely vast. Under the pressure of that heavy qi, the flying ship could only barely maintain 3 to 4 times the speed of sound. It was not impossible to increase its speed, but it would consume more spirit stones, since the faster the speed, the more resistance there would be, and the more power it would require. That was a flying lizard, right? It is actually a couple of times more powerful than the ones outside. Under the continuous attacks from the flying ship, it was only slightly wounded. Soon, they had been attacked a couple of times by beasts. Among them, the biggest threat was a massive lizard with a pair of bone wings. It was only rank 9, but its battling power was as powerful as a master level C of Soul's Realm warrior. With one claw attack, it had blown the flying ship dozens of meters away. If it were not for the fact that the defensive layer of the flying ship was extremely powerful, the body of the ship would have been damaged for sure, since the body of the flying ship was not indestructible. Yin Fengfeng said. It is not a flying lizard. It is an even more powerful bone-wing lizard. Its defense and power are extremely powerful, and it is one of the more difficult ancient beasts to deal with. Hai Wuya said. The pair of bone wings of the lizard could be made into bone wing items, which could increase one's speed. Unfortunately, we did not manage to block it. Wing-type items were priceless in the true spirit continent, although it could not increase one's attacking power or defense. With it, one's speed would increase to another level. If one were to run into danger, they would be able to escape anytime they wanted. Yi Chen said. It would be hard to catch it. This bone-wing lizard knows some of the space profound. Once it flapped its bone wings, it would be able to flash for a short distance. It was not that rare for beasts to know the profound sense, since some of the more talented ones would be able to learn it naturally. As time went on, their achievements in the profound sense would not be any weaker than human beings. But of course, in general, human beings would still have the biggest advantage. Soon it was already afternoon. In the sky, a burning sun hung in the sky, bringing with it a primal heat. On the deck, the five sat with their legs crossed, chatting about what they had seen and heard. Yi-chun, I did not expect you to be this experienced. I have heard about the fog-forbidden zone in the Star Regional Lake. I heard that even Sea of Souls realm warriors would have a hard time getting out. You were only at the astral reaching realm back then, and you were able to leave the forbidden zone in such a short time. Hearing Yi-chun's story, Wuxia sighed. Yi-chun said, there was some luck in it. Without power, luck would be useless. Yeah, Yan Fengfeng nodded. Luck is for powerful people. Even if normal people get lucky, they would not be able to use it to its fullest potential. The ship was still flying. All of a sudden, the sky darkened a bit. Everyone looked up and could not help but frown. They could see a huge black area spreading out from the horizon. One could not even see the end of it, as if the darkness was eating away at the light. Such a huge dark cloud. Guanqin was a bit scared. I am afraid it is not a dark cloud. As they spoke, Yi-chun spread out his soul power, reaching 500 miles away. Once his soul power made contact with that spreading black area, he said with a low voice, it is a locust. What? Locust? Could it be the savage locust? Wuxia and Yan Fengfeng stood up suddenly, looking very serious. They did not even have the mood to ask how Yi-chun knew that it was a locust. Soon, that endless black area spread out to hundreds of miles away. It is indeed the savage locust. There are billions of them. In Yan Fengfeng's vision, a black mass of ferocious locusts swarmed over. They were dozens of times bigger than normal locusts, and were the size of a fist. A black chi flow was being emitted from their bodies, and their eyes were red. Their limbs were extremely sharp like blades. Then let's back out. Guanqin and Ling Tianhao both stood up. We cannot back out directly. We can only try to break through from the left or the right. We have to follow the direction of the locusts. No matter how far we go, it will be useless. Yi-chun said. Yi-chun is right. Everyone get ready. We will try to break through to the left now. Do not let the locusts get close. Otherwise, we will be drowned in them. Yan Fengfeng's forehead shone as 3 silver sails rose up from the middle of the ship. As the sails moved, the flying direction of the ship changed drastically, flying toward the left at an extreme speed. Meanwhile, Yi-chun and the other 3 all stood in front of the railing on the right, in case the locusts would attack them and blow the ship away. Shoo! The speed of the ship slowly increased, and it had already reached 4 times the speed of sound. As for getting off the ship, although the speed would be faster than the ship itself, it would be even more dangerous for a single person to face the endless locusts. There was a possibility of dying at any second. 100 miles was too short a distance. Within the time of 10 breaths, the locusts had already spread out, covering the entire sky. Endless ocean. Wuxia was the first to attack. He threw out a palm attack, blowing out a huge amount of locusts, making it impossible for them to reach the ship. Flood Godly Fist. Mysterious Sky Hammer. Guanqin and Ling Tianhao did not dare to waste any time, as they performed their best martial arts together with Wuxia, attacking toward the locusts coming from the right. However, there were just too many of them, and they kept coming at them without an end in sight. The 3 tried their best, but still could not stop the advance of the locusts. Zhen Yuan Strings. It was Yi-chun's last attack, but it was the most effective one. His body shook once as countless blue strings shot out, spreading out in a fan shape with him as the center. Those locusts that came in contact with the strings started to fall down like rain. With Yi-chun's help, Wuxia and the other 2 felt a lot more relaxed. But the situation was still not looking good, because it was just a black mass of locusts in front of them and behind them. They would not be able to tell the direction at all. If the ship moved even a little bit, they would be lost in that endless swarm of locusts. Boom, boom, boom. After adjusting the ship, Yan Fengfeng controlled the cannons to attack automatically. Each cannon's power was equivalent to a full power attack from a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior. Plus, The bullets that were shot out had an explosive effect, which could burn countless locusts to death. Yan Fengfeng herself was not doing nothing either. Her body was covered in blue flame, and the pattern in between her eyebrows started to burn as well. She took a deep breath and waved her right hand toward the sky. A phoenix made of blue flame spread its wings, and wherever it went, the locusts fell down one after another. The phoenix did not disappear after that. Instead, it started to fly in the air, blocking out the attacks of the locusts. There is someone in front of us. As he attacked, Yichen saw light coming out from the gaps of the locusts. It was flashing continuously, and it was obvious that someone was battling with the locusts. Chapter 583. Boom! As the flying ship crashed into the swarm of locusts in front of them, a path was opened up. Yi Chun and the rest saw the powerful warriors who were fighting against the locusts. It was not just one warrior, but 5 of them. They were all quite powerful, with the 2 most powerful being Master Level C of Soul's Realm warriors. One of them could shoot out hidden weapons from his body at an extremely fast speed, while the other had a poisonous palm power. With one palm attack, a colorful poisonous chi spread out, killing a huge group of locusts. It is Li Shi from the Shadow Martial School, and Zhang Zhongdao from the 5 Poison Martial School. Yan Fengfeng had recognized the 2. Wuxia said, "Go above them. Do not make contact with them." Entering the savage ancient place, one should not trust anyone besides their own people. Even if it were their own people, they would still need to be cautious. Under Yan Fengfeng's control, the flying ship lifted up its head and started to fly upward. Along the way, it had killed countless locusts. If there were no defensive layer to block out the dark green juice, it would have splashed all over everyone's face, which was disgusting and horrifying. "Brother Zhang, there is a puppet ship above us." Li Shi was not in a good situation. He could handle one-on-one or a group of them, but he would not be able to handle 100 million of them. Accidentally, he saw Yan Fengfeng's flying ship, and his eyes brightened. Zhang Zhongdao had also seen it, so he said with a creepy tone, "Go after them and let them take us away. If there is a chance, we will take over the control of the ship." Facing a large-scale disaster, having a puppet ship would be too important. The defensive layer of the ship would save them a lot of Zhen Yuan. If they were really in danger, the defensive layer would be able to cancel out some of the incoming attacks. It would be like a second layer of defense for them. Take over their ship. The other 3 were not as powerful as Li Shi and Zhang Zhongdao, so they seemed to be in a bad shape. If they continued like this, they would have a high chance of dying. Shoo! 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 The 5 pushed their Zhen Yuan and tried their best to chase after the flying ship, creating 5 bloody paths in the swarm of locusts. "They are catching up." Guan Qin and Ling Tianhao's expressions changed. "It is fate that brought us here. Can you take us with you? We can help you block out the locusts." Li Shi sent over a Zhen Yuan message. Yan Fengfeng said lightly, "Sorry, but there is no more space on the ship." The rejection was obvious. "You can reconsider," Zhang Zhongdao said in an unfriendly tone. "If I say there isn't, then there isn't." Wuxia was not polite at all. If we aren't having a good time, then don't even think about having a good time either. It's too late to regret now. Attack the puppet ship." Zhang Zhongdao's expression turned cold as he took the initiative to attack. Boom! 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 Although the 5 of them were in the middle of the locust swarm would not be able to break through their protective Zhen Yuan for a while. With the protection of the Zhen Yuan, they changed their target and attacked the flying ship in front of them with all their might. The powerful Zhen Yuan ripple caused the flying ship to shake violently, and it was only because of the locust swarm in the middle. These bastards! The 5 people on the boat felt unsteady on their feet and staggered. "Let's fight back. Let's see who can last longer." Ling Tianhao held his purple gold hammer in his hand and smashed towards the back of the ship. The bright hammer light was like a shooting star. Yan Fengfeng did not stop Ling Tianhao as she said to Guan Qin, "You 2 go to the back of the ship. The 3 of us will hold on here. Besides, I will get a cannon to help you guys." Although 2 people and 1 cannon were not as powerful as 5 people attacking them at the same time, It should not be forgotten that there were countless locusts in between them. These locusts would cancel out their attacks, so they would only be able to reach 20 to 30% of their original power. We will complete the mission. It was Guan Qin's first time in this kind of situation, so her face was filled with excitement and nervousness. Just like that, the right side of the ship was filled with locusts while the back of the ship was being chased by 5 powerful warriors. Yi Chen and the other 4 did not even have the time to breathe. They knew that if they let their guard down for even a little bit, it would lead to an unpredictable outcome. So, they could not afford to be careless. After a long while, the body of the ship suddenly shook, and the color of the protective layer dimmed a lot. Not good. The spirit stones are about to be used up. I need to go and fill them up. Yin Fengfeng's expression changed. The ship would need to be filled with 3,650 top-rank spirit stones every time. Therefore, even if the consumption was huge, it would still be able to last for a long time. But they had already fired at least 100 shots, and each shot would use up dozens of top-rank spirit stones. No matter how many top-rank spirit stones there were, it would still not be enough. I will go and fill them up for you. Yi Chen took out a sword warrior puppet from his storage ring and asked it to carry a huge box of top-rank spirit stones to the bottom of the ship. With his multitasking ability, he could totally control the puppet to fill up the top-rank spirit stones, while attacking the locusts at the same time. Sword warrior puppet, Yin Fengfeng said with a surprised voice. Then, I will have to trouble you. Yin Fengfeng knew that she would not be able to leave. With one less person, the ship would be blown away by the locusts very soon, and the balance would not be stable anymore. With the sword warrior puppet filling up the top-rank spirit stones, the defensive layer of the ship stabilized once again, which made everyone let out a breath of relief. I told you, you will regret this. 5 poison palm print. Zhang Zhongdao saw that he could not do anything to the ship after attacking for a long time, so a determined look flashed through his face. He did not care about the locusts biting his protective Zhen Yuan, as he formed a spell with both of his hands, trying to absorb the poison yuan qi in the air. After 2 blinks of an eye, Zhang Zhongdao's right hand pressed down in the air. This palm had a different color on each finger, representing 5 different kinds of poison. Pooh, 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 pooh. The 5 poison palm print was extremely poisonous, and all of the locusts in front of it fell down one after another, clearing out a huge area. A Zhen Yuan palm with 5 colors landed on the defensive layer of the ship, bringing up a loud sound. The 5-colored poison qi had almost covered up the whole area. Pooh, pooh. The defensive layer was being corroded at a visible speed, and it was about to be broken. I would like to see what you Zhang Zhongdao can do. The 5-colored poison qi had not only corroded the defensive layer, but also stopped the locusts from attacking the ship. Pulling out her hand, Yin Fengfeng flashed her body and appeared at the back of the ship. Phoenix fire! Burn the world! Whoosh! The blue flame fiercely rushed out and turned into a flaming phoenix. Wherever the flaming phoenix flew, it would be burned into nothingness. Even the multicolored poisonous gas was no exception. A young man next to Zhang Zhongdao was carelessly brushed by the phoenix flame, and his protective Zhen Yuan was immediately broken. He was drowned in the swarm of locusts, and miserable screams could be heard one after another. Zhang Zhongdao himself was not feeling good either. All this time, he had thought that Yin Fengfeng had gotten her fame with her horrifying speed. But now he knew that he was wrong. Her power was not that much weaker than her speed. It was just that her speed was too shocking, which made people forget about her power. Torrential pear flower. Seeing that Yin Fengfeng had managed to suppress Zhang Zhongdao, Li Shi hurried to help out. Zhen Yuan hidden weapons were everywhere, shooting out like a torrential rain. In the middle of all of them was a small sword. It was not made of Zhen Yuan, but a top rank hidden weapon. Gold resonant radiance sword. Yi Chen took out his gold sword and knocked away the small sword. Unlimited direct attack. Hai Wuya followed up with Yi Chen's attack, using one palm attack to blow away all of the hidden weapons. Under the combined attack of the 3, Zhang Zhongdao and the other 3 could not handle it at all. They had to increase the distance between them and the flying ship, giving up on the chase. This enmity, I will remember it. Zhang Zhongdao's voice was heard. You think I am afraid of you? Hai Wuya was not afraid at all. The 5-colored poison chi disappeared, and the locusts started to attack again. Yi Chen and the other 4 did not dare to slow down, so they went back to the right side of the ship to block out the attacks. The locusts are starting to decrease. Gradually, everyone realized that the density of the locusts had decreased a lot, and they could already see a bit of light through the locusts. Full power. Yin Fengfeng changed the direction of her attack, attacking toward the front. Boom, boom, boom. With a loud explosion, the flying ship shot out of the black locust swarm and saw the light of day again. Luckily, we have this flying ship. Even if we do not die in the swarm, we would have to use up a lot of Jin Yuan. Hai Wuya chuckled. Yi Chen turned around and saw that everywhere he looked was filled with locusts. Wherever the locusts went, the mountains would collapse, the ground would be dug out, and the rivers would be dried up. The beasts inside would be devoured without even bones left. This savage ruin ancient place is indeed worthy of its name. Yi Chen sighed to himself. After the flying ship had flown far away, after about 15 minutes, 3 human figures jumped out of the black locust swarm. It was indeed Zhang Zhongdao and the other 2. Damn! I, Zhang Zhongdao, have never been humiliated like this before. Zhang Zhongdao was the head disciple of the 5 Poison Martial School. Back in the day, the leader of the 108 Ghost Warriors of the 9 Ghost Cult was also from the 5 Poison Martial School. But he had been kicked out. The 5 Poison Martial School was famous for their poison, and everyone in the school would take revenge for the smallest grievances. What Yin Fengfeng had done had undoubtedly offended him completely. Li Shi said, "They have a puppet ship. If we run into them, I am afraid the chance of winning is not that high." "There will be plenty of chances." Zhang Zhongdao squeezed his eyes into a line. "You and I have lost a lot of our Jin Yuan. Let's find a place to recover first." Li Shi suggested. "Yeah." Zhang Zhongdao nodded as he brought the other 2 and flew into the distance. When they came, there were 5 of them, but now there were only 3 of them. This is a spirit fountain mountain. At dusk, the group arrived in front of a mountain that was filled with spirit chi. On top of the mountain, spirit light danced in the air. There were all kinds of plants growing there, and some of them were full of spirit chi. Vaguely, there was an immeasurable beast power lurking around. It was obviously the beasts that were guarding the plants. Everyone go and collect the plants. It would be best if you do not leave the range of your soul power detection. Putting away the flying ship, Yin Fengfeng said. Yi Chen said, "I need some plants. I hope you guys can keep an eye out for me." Yi Chen told them the missing ingredients for the antidote. "No problem. These are useless to us." Hai Wuya nodded without hesitation. "Then let's go our separate ways. Be careful." As they spoke, the 5 turned into beams of light and flew toward the mountain from 5 different directions. Chapter 584. The place where Yi Chen landed was a deep pond in the middle of the mountain. The pond was surrounded by a huge flat land with a radius of thousands of meters. The back of the flat land was covered by the steep mountain, while on the left and right sides of the pond were huge primordial forests. From time to time, some fierce beasts would jump out, preying on some of the weaker beasts. The pond was covered in a thick fog, which made it hard for people to tell its exact size. They could only vaguely see some of its shapes. Cold hellgrass iceface flower. After chasing away the beasts around the pond, Yi Chen saw 2 different kinds of plants growing in the cracks of the rocks on the shore. One was a dark green wide-leaved plant, which was extremely cold, while the other was a pink flower with petals and leaves decorated with ice shards, looking like white diamonds. Waving his hand, the 2 plants landed in his hand. Yi Chen smiled lightly before putting them into his storage ring. The cold hellgrass and iceface flower were both top-ranked plants. For warriors who trained ice element Jin Yuan, they were treasures that could increase their Jin Yuan. But for Yi Chen they were not that useful. However, these 2 plants were quite valuable. If they were auctioned, one of them could be sold for thousands of top-rank soul stones, which would be a small fortune. The pond was not small, so it took Yi Chen a whole 15 minutes to walk around the edge of the pond. But of course, this 15 minutes was not wasted, as Yi Chun had gotten 7 top-rank plants, 24 mid-rank plants, and dozens of ice soul stones. The total value was more than 100,000 top-rank soul stones, which turned a small fortune into a big one. After all of Yi Chun's wealth was only 700,000 top-rank soul stones. After collecting all the plants, Yi Chun focused on the pond water. This pond is the source of the fog. The water is extremely cold and contains a very pure ice element power. There should be something in there. After spending 90,000 top-rank soul stones at the pavilion, Yi Chun knew that he was still not rich enough. The more powerful he became, the more soul stones he would need. Only by doing this could he ensure that he would be prepared at all times. A wave appeared in his soul ocean as Yi Chun pushed his soul power into the pond. Yes, my soul power has been nullified. Yi Chun's brows furrowed. His soul force had only penetrated 500 feet deep when it was neutralized by an invisible force. After some thought, Yi Chun took out the swordsman puppet and controlled it to jump into the water. Kaka. The coldness of the water exceeded Yi Chun's expectations. As soon as the swordsman puppet touched the water, a layer of frost formed where it came in contact with the water. The frost quickly spread and covered the swordsman puppet's body. In just a few blinks of an eye, the swordsman puppet was covered in a thin layer of white frost, causing its joints to stiffen and its movements to become sluggish. Fortunately, the frost did not corrode the swordsman puppet's insides, and it could still be controlled. When the swordsman puppet was about 7 to 8 feet deep, the pressure in the water made Yi Chun shocked. He could feel that this was not the normal water pressure, but the power of some kind of treasure that was automatically preventing other things from getting close. Otherwise, this water pressure would be way too horrifying. His pupils shone with a silver light as Yi Chun increased his control, making the swordsman puppet dive another 3 to 4 meters deep. Not good. This frost has invaded the internal power source of the swordsman puppet. Realizing that the swordsman puppet was losing control, Yi Chun's expression changed. He hurried to make the puppet float up to the surface and jumped out. Dong! The swordsman puppet that was covered in frost landed on the shore, making a heavy sound. It was obviously different from its usual lightness. Pressing his palm on the swordsman puppet's back, Yi Chun's hand went numb for a second. That frost had been transmitted into his body through the puppet's back. However, he was a Sea of Souls realm warrior after all, and his power was dozens of times more powerful than the swordsman puppet. He pushed out his Zhen Yuan, and that frost disappeared immediately. Then, his powerful Zhen Yuan poured into the swordsman puppet through the Laogong meridian in his palm. Without a sound, the frost on the swordsman puppet's body melted. The moment the ice water touched the ground, it froze again, covering the ground. Putting away the swordsman puppet, Yi Chun looked a bit serious. From the probing just now, one could tell that the water contained an extremely horrifying cold qi. The deeper one went, the heavier the cold qi would be. 30 meters deep, the cold qi would be able to corrode the insides of the sword puppets. Besides the cold qi, the pressure inside the deep pool was also extremely horrifying. Even without the cold qi, astral-reaching realm warriors would not be able to dive too deep. There seemed to be something releasing its power out there. It seems like I will have to do it myself. Yi Chun would not give up on the exploration. He was sure that there must be something special at the bottom of the pool. If he missed it, it would be such a waste. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chun bent his knees and jumped into the pool. Yi Chun had the Sea of Souls realm Jin Yuan after all. The frost qi was completely blocked out by his protective Jin Yuan, so he could not feel even a little bit of coldness. Swoosh! Activating his Zhen Yuan, Yi Chun's head continued to sink downwards. 50 meters, 30 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters. Only after reaching 30 meters did Yi Chun feel a bit of coldness, as well as the pressure coming from the bottom of the pool. My soul power still cannot reach 50 meters deep. It seems like it is not the problem of the pool. If it was the problem of the pool, then Yi Chun should be able to reach 80 meters deep with his soul power. After all, when he was on the shore, he could reach 50 meters deep. He continued to sink down. 40 meters, 50 meters, My soul power cannot spread out anymore. Yi Chen felt that there was an invisible power locking him down, making it impossible for his soul power to come out. Fortunately, his Zhen Yuan was fine. 60 meters, 80 meters, 100 meters. The protective Zhen Yuan layer outside Yi Chen's body started to freeze. There was an invisible frost qi going through the protective Zhen Yuan and into Yi Chen's body. However, the Zhen Yuan inside Yi Chen's body was even richer. The frost qi went in and was immediately destroyed, not even causing a ripple. It is indeed deep. I have already dived to 150 meters deep. In the deepest part of the pool, there was an oval-shaped ice crystal sinking down. Inside the ice crystal was a human figure. It turned out that as the depth increased, the frost qi would form a thick layer of ice on the surface of the protective Zhen Yuan, making it look like a whole ice crystal. Crack! The ice crystal shattered, unable to handle the pressure first. Yi Chen's protective Zhen Yuan had also shrunk by one size. I have reached the bottom. As far as his eyes could see, Yi Chen could see the bottom of the pool. It was a hard rock, and some parts of it were silver-black, releasing a light silver light. It was this light silver light that was blocking Yi Chen's soul power. It is a soul stone. A whole piece of soul stone. Yi Chen's pupils shrank, as he could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. The soul stone was a kind of stone that contained soul power, which was extremely valuable. It was the most needed item for the super martial institutions. Thinking about it, no matter how big a martial institution was, it would not be infinitely big. Once one reached Sea of Soul's realm, one's soul power would be able to scan within 100 miles radius. If there was nothing blocking the soul power, then the whole martial institution would be exposed, right in front of everyone's eyes. Although no one would dare to use their soul power to scan other people's martial institutions on purpose, once a big battle broke out, no one would care about it. It would not be an exaggeration to say that a fist-sized soul stone could be sold for at least 5,000 top-rank spirit stones in the market. And the soul stone at the bottom of the lake was estimated to be 100 times the size of a fist, which would be worth 5 million top-rank spirit stones. It would be enough to make any Sea of Soul Realm Master level warrior go crazy. The visibility of the pool was very low. After knowing the reason why the soul power could not spread out, Yi Chen started to dig out the silver-black soul stones. The first one was dug out, which was the size of a basin. The second one was smaller, which was also the size of a head. The third one was the biggest, which was the size of a bathtub. After digging out the 3 soul stones, Yi Chen released his soul power. This time, his soul power finally spread out without any hindrance. The whole pool had no secrets at all. What Yi Chen did not know was that in the tunnel at the bottom of the pool, there was a pair of white gold pupils staring at him. Yi Chen tried to search with his soul power, but found nothing. Plus, the two were hundreds of meters apart, so the white gold pupils could still see Yi Chen. The white gold pupils slowly came out of the tunnel and approached Yi Chen without a sound. The reason why the soul power could not spread out is clear now. But where is the pressure coming from? What is going on? The pressure is increasing at an insane rate. Yi Chen felt that something was not right, and his hair stood up. Boom! Right at that moment, a huge wriggling black shadow shot out toward Yi Chen at an unbelievable speed, as if there was no resistance from the pool at all. A demonic beast. Yi Chen stomped on the ground and jumped up. On the way, he turned in the air and looked at the place where the vibration was the most intense. What he saw made his scalp go numb. In his sight, a huge white python was swimming towards him. It was unclear how long the python was, but its body was thicker than a water tank. The scales on its body were only the size of a wine cup, but they were very dense. On the belly of the python, there were 4 claws. These claws were extremely sharp, just like the claws of a dragon. This was a flood dragon, a pure flood dragon. Roar! The flood dragon roared, and the pressure suddenly increased. The whole pool started to boil, as if there was an active volcano at the bottom of the pool, and it was about to erupt. Yi Chen's speed was fast, but in the water, how could he compete with the flood dragon? This white flood dragon was swimming like a white ghost. In a blink of an eye, it was only 10 meters away from Yi Chen. It opened its bloody mouth and bit towards Yi Chen. Thunder Lion transformation. There was no time to take out his sword. Yi Chen clenched his right hand into a fist, and the Thunder Lion took shape. He then punched at the head of the white flood dragon. There was a loud bang. Yi Chen was flipped over. Under the violent power of the white flood dragon, his fist power could not even make it pause for a second. The difference in power was too great. Is this the power of a flood dragon? It's like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Yi Chen was shaken by the flood dragon's power, and he felt dizzy. His shoulder smashed into the wall on the side of the pool, creating a huge hole. The white flood dragon did not stop at all. It dashed towards Yi Chen's location, showing its fangs and claws, roaring like thunder. Chapter 585. Yi Chen was a Sea of Souls realm warrior after all, and his physical power was not weak either. Plus, his body contained the dragon power from the dragon blood plant. With a loud yell, he pulled himself out of the hard rock wall and dodged the bite of the white flood dragon. Zhen Yuan exploded as Yi Chen continued to shoot upward. Inside the deep lake, his power could not be used normally. With a cracking sound, the rock wall below him was shattered like tofu by the flood dragon. Its head was deeply embedded into the rock wall, while its white dragon tail waved out toward Yi Chen's waist. Gold resonant radiance sword attack. Yi Chen was prepared for it. He took out his gold sword, turning into a bright gold light as he attacked out. Chin. That sword attack was like a super electric saw, as it landed heavily on the white flood dragon's tail. The burning sparks ignored the coldness of the lake water and shot out everywhere. However, that sword attack was not able to break through the flood dragon's defense, only leaving a white mark on its scales. What kind of defense is this? Even the gold resonant radiance sword could not break through it. Plus, this power is at least 500,000 pounds. It is insane. Yi Chen had heard from Su Jing that 10,000 years ago, there was a martial school called the Boundless Martial School. Everyone in the school trained their bodies. 10,000 pounds of power would make them the servant disciples, 30,000 pounds for the outer disciples, 50,000 pounds for the inner disciples, and 80,000 pounds for the core disciples. The outer masters would have 200,000 pounds of power, and the inner masters would have 300,000 pounds of power. The leader and the few great masters were all close to or above 500,000 pounds of power. They were so powerful that they could even kill the East Sea Flood Dragon and the West Sea Godly Shark. This white flood dragon was definitely a great master-level being in the Boundless Martial School. With only its physical power, it would be able to look down on most of the master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. Swoosh! Although the white flood dragon's tail did not manage to wrap around Yi Chen, which was blocked out by Yi Chen's gold sword, the destructive power had still blown Yi Chen away. Blood leaked out from between his thumb and index finger. In the next second, Yi Chen used that power to shoot out of the lake. The white flood dragon easily pulled out its head and waved its tail, chasing after him. Boom! The water pillar exploded, and the white Jiao dragon broke out of the water. Its long and winding body swam in the void, and it was more than 100 meters long. As it appeared, the sky above the pool changed, and the wind and clouds changed. Wind and rain swayed, and white clouds were emitted from its body, making it impossible to see its entire body. The white flood dragon's gigantic head poked out as it stared at Yi Chen. A formless pressure was released, causing the originally flat ground to sink several meters deep. The grass, trees, and rocks were crushed into powder, becoming one with the ground. Puff! As soon as he emerged from the water, Yi Chen coughed up a mouthful of blood. The flood dragon's strength was heaven-defying. In just 2 short exchanges, he had already suffered serious internal injuries. Cracks had appeared on his bones. The flood dragon is the closest demonic beast to a dragon, so this pressure should be the dragon pressure. Fortunately, this dragon pressure is not the real dragon pressure. If it was the real dragon pressure, I wouldn't even be able to circulate my Zhen Yuan, instead of this pure pressure. The flood dragon was one of the demonic beasts that had the most dragon bloodline. Once it grew to a certain level, it could even transform into a dragon and travel through the universe. Dragons were extremely powerful, and their aura was extremely powerful and horrifying. It was called the dragon aura. The flood dragon contained a huge amount of dragon bloodline, so it naturally had a faint dragon aura as well, which could suppress the opponent with its aura. Taking out a yuan qi replenishing pellet and putting it into his mouth, Yi Chen activated his undying body and started to heal his wounds. As for running away, it was definitely impossible. It was not that Yi Chen did not want to run, but with the white flood dragon's speed, it would be impossible for him to do so. The latter's speed in the water was already as fast as Yi Chen's on land. Perhaps only Yin Fengfeng would be able to run away from the white flood dragon. Roar! Seeing that Yi Chen was in the middle of healing, the white flood dragon jumped out and grabbed toward Yi Chen's body. With the sharpness of that claw, combined with the flood dragon's power, even if Yi Chen's defense were doubled, he would still be crushed into pieces. Piss off! This time, Yi Chen was not holding the gold sword in his hand, but the thunder disaster sword instead. The sword was like a beam of lightning as it clashed with the white flood dragon's claw. Boom! The power gap between the two was just too huge. Even with the help of the thunder disaster sword, Yi Chen was still not the white flood dragon's opponent. His whole body was blown away, landing into the forest near the deep lake, which startled a bunch of birds and beasts. Coughing out blood again, Yi Chen's face was full of helplessness. 500,000 pounds of power is just too horrifying. I can't even get close to it, and long-range attacks would not be able to break through its defense. Plus, it would catch up very quickly. If I could train my void-shattering finger to 60%, or even 70%, I might be able to break through its defense. Unfortunately, right now, the power of my void-shattering finger is not even as powerful as my gold resonant radiance sword. Even using it would be a waste. This is the only attack I have left. Seeing the white flood dragon jump out again, Yi Chen held the thunder disaster sword in his right hand and the gold sword in his left. Crossing the two swords, he threw out an attack. A dark blue thunder ball appeared and expanded rapidly, devouring the white flood dragon. Pap! 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 The sound of thunder was heard as Yi Chen backed out quickly to avoid being hurt by the white flood dragon. He then kept his eyes on the ladder. After a short while, the lightning dissipated, and the scales of the white flood dragon showed signs of being roasted. They were faintly black, and there was a faint crisscrossed sword mark on its chest. The scales were broken and blood seeped out, dripping onto the plants below. Chi. The plants could not bear the power of the flood dragon's blood, and exploded into powder. Still unable to wound it badly, Yi Chen's brows creased. The white flood dragon was furious. How many years had it been since it had last been wounded? It could not believe that this weak-looking human could actually wound it. Although it was not even a light wound, it was still a noble flood dragon, which was not something normal beasts could compare with. Ooh! Opening its bloody mouth, the white flood dragon blew out a transparent cold wind towards Yi Chen. The cold wind screamed and spread out. A few hundred meters in radius was covered in ice within a second. Not good. This cold wind was too fast, and Yi Chen could only move half a step before he was hit by it, turning into a human-shaped ice sculpture. Yi Chen, you hold on for a bit longer. I am coming at full speed. All of a sudden, Yin Fengfeng's voice was heard in Yi Chen's head. It turned out that she had already used her soul power to sense what was going on with Yi Chen, and had used her secret soul art to send a message to Yi Chen. With her speed, 100 miles distance would only take her a couple of breaths' time at most. But Yi Chen knew that if he did not break open the ice sculpture, he would be smashed into pieces by the white flood dragon in the next second. Break! Under such a powerful crisis, Yi Chen's talent of getting stronger when facing strong opponents exploded. Back when he was being chased by the powerful warriors of the Ao family, he was able to improve his undying body quickly. Right now, facing the white flood dragon's threat, he focused all of his spirit and chi. A shocking sword chi shot out of his body, shattering the ice around him. Chapter 586. As the ice shattered, Yi Chen raised up his two swords almost instinctively, crossing them in front of his body. In the next second, That horrifying power traveled through the sword body to Yi Chen's arm, then all the way to Yi Chen's body. The sound of bones cracking could be heard continuously as the Thunder Disaster sword and gold sword flew out of his hands, shooting into the depths of the forest. Pooh! Puking out a huge amount of blood, Yi Chen's whole body was blown backward. This flood dragon's power is probably no less than 600,000 pounds. Even if it is not as powerful as the leader of the legendary martial school, it should not be that far off. The scenery on both sides turned into blurry shadows as they flew far away. Yi Chen had come to a conclusion based on the power that had been applied to his body. Roar! The white flood dragon did not want to let Yi Chen go just like that. Its huge body started to move around, appearing and disappearing in the clouds. Within 1/10 of a second, it had caught up with Yi Chen, who was badly wounded. It opened its mouth and tried to bite him. You want to kill me? It will not be that easy. While backing out, Yi Chen's body flashed once, turning into a shadow as he traveled through the forest, making it hard for people to see where his real body was. The white flood dragon could not find Yi Chen in a split second, so it had to let out another transparent cold chi, freezing the forest in front of it. It thought that Yi Chen should be in this area, and as long as he was in this area, he would not be able to escape. Shoo! The sword light sliced through the forest, leaving a bright mark in the surreal space. The cold chi seemed to be chasing after the sword light, but it did not catch up in the end. This cold chi is not that powerful, but it is spreading way too fast. Hundreds of meters away, Yi Chen stood in the air, his left leg frozen. Although the cold chi did not catch up to him, it had still managed to reach him. It was this cold chi that had frozen Yi Chen's left leg. Fortunately, Yi Chen had the undying body, so the wounds on his body and his left leg were fine. Yi Chen, are you alright? Right then, a blue fire line flashed past, its speed even faster than the white flood dragon. It was indeed Yin Fengfeng. Yi Chen said, It's alright, but this white flood dragon's strength and defense are terrifying. Yin Fengfeng looked over at the white flood dragon and said with a frown, Although this ice flood dragon is the same as me, I am afraid that I will not be able to compete with it in my human form. Only when I am in battle will I be able to compete with it. The battle mode that Yin Fengfeng was talking about was the Blue Phoenix's true form. While they were talking, Yi Chen had already sucked the Thunder Disaster sword and the gold sword over as he said, There is no need to fight it head on. Both of us will be badly wounded, and it will not do anyone any good. If he had the chance to escape before, he would not have fought this ice flood dragon head on. Yes, if I want to leave, it won't be able to catch up. As she spoke, Yin Fengfeng grabbed onto Yi Chen's arm and brought him flying into the distance. Their speed had suddenly increased to 40 times the speed of sound, and they were still carrying a person. The ice flood dragon roared, but did not chase after them. First of all, Yin Fengfeng's speed had already surpassed its limit. Secondly, the chi on Yin Fengfeng's body gave it a sense of threat, which was something that only beasts at the same level could sense. Obviously, Yin Fengfeng was also a beast, but she had turned into a human. Soon Wuxia and the rest arrived as well. Yi Chen, you are really unlucky, running into an ice flood dragon so easily, and it is the tyrant of all beasts. When Wuxia used his soul power to sense the battle between Yi Chen and the flood dragon, he was shocked, since even he was not the opponent of the flood dragon. Strange. Yi Chen, how come you are perfectly fine? Ling Tianhao looked at Yi Chen with surprise. Yeah, it was such an intense battle, and you puked out a couple of mouthfuls of blood. How come you are perfectly fine? Wuxia had also noticed Yi Chen's strange behavior. Yi Chen laughed. Perhaps this flood dragon underestimated me, and did not use all of its power. Of course, he could not tell them that he had trained the undying body secret art. Perhaps. Wuxia glanced at Yi Chen, feeling that he was hiding quite a lot. But he did not feel bad about it, since who would not have some secrets when they were out in the world? Right then, Yin Fengfeng said, Let's not get close to the deep pond. We will go to other areas to look for plants. Just in case this time, the distance between us should not be more than 50 miles. If there is any danger, we will be able to work together quickly. To be honest, Yan Fengfeng really admired Yi Chen. It had only been such a long time, and his power had improved again. He was probably not that much weaker than Hai Wuya now. Plus, his survival ability was extremely powerful, and even the flood dragon could not kill him instantly. Yeah, let's do that. Everyone nodded, and then separated, maintaining a distance of less than 50 miles from each other. Somewhere in the far distance, a bright red light column shot into the sky. It was huge, containing a powerful energy vibration that lingered for a long time. Such a powerful energy vibration. It should be some kind of treasure. Let's go. There were a lot of people who had entered the ancient place, and those who had seen this red light column all rushed over, their speed increasing to its limit. Let's go as well. Tai Shichong and the group were not that far away from the red light column, so they could feel the power contained within. Shoo! 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 All of a sudden, dozens of human figures flew toward the red light column, looking like the clouds were moving. Near the red light column. Damn it! We have been here for almost a month. Who would have thought that this fruit would make such a huge commotion when it is about to ripen? This place was a small island in the middle of a lake, and a group of people were standing in the jungle on the island. In the center of the jungle was a flat land without any plants, only a huge tree. There were a lot of red fruits on the tree, and the red light column was indeed coming from that tree. What was strange was that these people were looking at the tree without any intention of picking the fruits. It seemed like they were waiting for the fruits to ripen before doing anything, which was really confusing. The fruit is about to ripen, and we are the closest to the tree. Let's try to get as many as we can. That is the only way. Let's hope that the fruit ripens faster. After saying that, the group of people no longer said anything. They watched helplessly as the fruit slowly turned red and emitted a heart-palpitating energy fluctuation. Haha, we are quite lucky to be the first to get here. Let's go pick the fruit. An air-slicing sound was heard as a couple of human figures flew toward the tree at lightning speed. The group of people who were hiding in the jungle sneered, but did not stop them. Ah! Screams were heard as a couple of beams of red light shot out from the tree, easily piercing through those people's bodies. Not even their bodies were left behind. Good. I hope none of them know that this is the tree. Otherwise, they will all be killed by the tree, and no one will be able to fight for the fruit with us. Someone in the jungle said with a gloating tone. Chapter 587. From time to time, people would fly to the small island from all directions. Moreover, the moment they appeared, they would be in groups. In the savage, desolate ancient lands, there were very few people who were alone. When encountering a group of people, even if you were slightly stronger than the strongest person, you would still be beaten to a pulp. If you were unlucky, you might even be killed. In the beginning, there were still some people who did not recognize the long life tree and tried to pick the fruits. The result was predictable, as they were all shot through by the red light from the tree one after another, disappearing into nothingness. Until someone recognized the tree, the situation gradually disappeared. It was indeed one of the top 3 sword masters, Tai Shichong, who recognized the tree. He and a few others stood on the empty ground 100 meters away from the long life tree. He stared at the tree and said, "This long life tree already has its own intelligence, and its power is almost at the half-step beast king level. Even if we all work together, we would still be killed by it. Therefore, we can only wait for the fruits to ripen and fall from the tree before we can go and pick them up." According to past examples, when the fruits fall from the tree, the long life tree will not attack anyone who tries to get close to it. Of course, we cannot offend it either. The long life tree was the descendant of the undead tree. Although it was not like the undead tree, which had its own intelligence and battle power, it was still equivalent to Master Level C of Soul's Realm warriors. After hundreds of years, it would be able to reach the half-step Beast King level. Its power would be extremely powerful, and it would be able to kill Master Level warriors easily. Unfortunately, this long life tree has already grown up and has its own intelligence. If it was only a seedling, we could bring it back. I heard that if normal people stayed next to the tree, they would be able to live up to 200 years. If it was a martial artist, They would not only be immune to all kinds of poisons, but would also be able to train at an extremely fast speed. It is a great item for training, one of the twins said. The other one said, don't even think about it. Even if it does not have its own intelligence, we cannot touch it. This is the ancient place, which is half of the undead tree's territory. If you touch its descendant, I am sure you will not be able to get out of here alive. The roots of the undead tree have taken up almost half of the whole ancient place. A lot of people did not know that the legendary undead tree did exist, and it was one of the kings of the ancient place. This longevity fruit belongs to this old man. A black-clothed old man with a withered face walked out of the forest. His eyes were filled with greed. Tai Shichong glanced at him. I'm afraid you won't be able to. You must be Tai Shichong, one of the top 3 young sword masters. You have the power, but you are still lacking. Go back and train for a few more years, then you will have a chance to defeat me. The elder in black did not care about Tai Shichong at all. Oh, that means you have the confidence to defeat me. Tai Shichong's eyes were filled with killing intent. It seemed like the elder in black did not want to fight with Tai Shichong right now, so he suggested, there are too many people here, and there are a lot of people who want to take advantage of the situation. How about we chase them away first? Hearing him, Tai Shichong looked around and realized that there were more and more people surrounding the long life tree. From the dozens of people before, there were now dozens of people. If he allowed this to continue, he was not confident that he would be able to get enough long life fruits. However, what the elder in black said had convinced him. Leave this to me. The elder in black did not care about Tai Shichong as he jumped toward the 4 people closest to him. If you don't want to die, then piss off. Otherwise, I will kill you all. However, no one knew who the elder was, so no one would listen to him. Seeing him jump toward them, the 4 of them spread out and attacked the elder together. He dares to attack us. Kill him. We, the Yanbei 4 heroes, are not weak. The Yanbei 4 heroes were 4 heterosexual brothers. The leader of the 4 was a master level Sea of Souls realm warrior, while the other 3 were all top spirit warriors. The 4 of them might not be that powerful if they were alone, but after decades of teamwork, their power would increase exponentially. There were even a couple of master level Sea of Souls realm warriors that had died in their hands. You are the Yanbei 4 bears. The elder in black sneered as he threw out a claw attack. The sky was filled with black claw shadows, forming into a massive black beast. The beast roared and waved its front claw. Bastard! Let's fight him. The 4 of them did not expect the elder to be this powerful. Even with the 4 of them working together, they were still beaten back by 1 claw attack, and were slightly wounded. Form the King Kong spell. The leader of the 4 yelled. Shoo! The 4 of them moved and formed a prism. At the tip of the prism was the leader of the 4 heroes of the north of Yin Kingdom. The vital chi of the 4 of them flowed out of their bodies and joined together. They were one in another and complemented each other. In the end, they formed a golden Vajra with an angry face. Combined attack. A shocked expression flashed across the elder's face. Die now. The elder in black had enough confidence in himself. He waved his hand, and the black beast roared as its huge body attacked the King Kong. Piss off. The leader of the 4 of them reached out his right hand and threw out an attack. The King Kong that surrounded the 4 of them seemed to be one with him, as it also reached out its right hand and threw out an attack. Boom! A thunder-like sound was heard as the black beast dissipated. However, the 4 of them were not having a good time either. They all puked out blood, and the King Kong disappeared as well. This guy is too powerful. Let's back out. The 4 of them were not hot-headed people. Seeing that their combined attack could not do anything to the elder, they all ran back into the jungle. After 2 to 3 blinks of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. We should have left earlier. The elder in black shook his head as he looked at Tai Shichong. Being one of the top 3 sword masters, Tai Shichong's sword art was indeed powerful. He did not even take out his great sword. Instead, he raised his right index and middle fingers and pointed out in the air. As he pointed out his sword, countless huge sword shadows shot out, destroying everything in their path. Tai Shichong, don't push us too far. There were other young martial geniuses on the island, but they were still not Tai Shichong's opponent. Tai Shichong said coldly, "The treasure belongs to the powerful. You guys are not powerful enough, so you don't have the right to stay here. If you don't leave now, I will cut your heads off." "Alright, I Dugaju will remember this. One day my cousin Dugaju will come and find you." The leader of the group was actually the cousin of one of the top 2 martial geniuses in the Sky Martial region. "Dugaju," Tai Shichong sneered. "Even if he comes, it will be useless. But since you have brought out the Dugaju, I will have to leave some marks for you no matter what." Dugaju had just reached the Sea of Souls realm 1 year ago, so Tai Shichong was not scared of him at all. Martial geniuses needed time to grow. Without time, he would only be a martial genius with potential. Shoo! Pointing out his sword finger, a sharp sword chi sliced through Dugaju's chest. Dugaju's face went pale as blood spilled out of his chest. "Tai Shichong, you are so arrogant. Just wait and see." Enduring the pain, Dugaju left the island with a group of young martial geniuses, leaving behind a warning. "This Dugaju is so reckless. He used his cousin to scare us. Does he really think that we are that easy to scare?" The twin brothers walked next to Tai Shichong. Tai Shichong said, "Dugaju is a very scary person. With enough time, it is not impossible for him to reach the level of the top 5 young warriors. Therefore, I have to get the longevity fruit even more. With it, I have 80% chance of reaching the late Sea of Souls realm." Among the young warriors in the Sky Martial region, there were not many warriors who had reached the late Sea of Souls realm. Even the top 5 young warriors were not all at the late Sea of Souls realm. Of course, martial geniuses all had the power to battle beyond their realms. Even if their cultivation was slightly lower, their power would still be very scary. In the end, besides Tai Shichong and the Elder in Black, there was still a group of people around the longevity tree. They were the ones who had been here for a long time, and were also the ones who had found the tree first. "Tian Inso, Tai Shichong, you two do indeed have the right to get the longevity fruit. But, if you want me to leave, I am afraid that it will be impossible." A group of people walked out of the dense forest. The leader was a middle-aged man with disheveled hair. His eyes were as sharp as blades. He held a thick bronze rod in his hand. The people behind him were also not ordinary people. Each of them had a powerful aura. Their bodies were huge, as if they were human-shaped ferocious beasts. "You know me." The Elder in Black changed his expression. He had not been out in the world for dozens of years already, so not many people knew him. "Unfortunately, I have seen a picture of you decades ago, but it was a wanted poster. After all these years, you have not changed at all." After reaching the Sea of Souls realm, the change in appearance would not be that obvious. Decades would only be like decades or 7 to 8 years, so it would not change that fast. "I did not expect you to have such a good memory." Tian Inso chuckled. Decades ago, he was wanted by a rank 5 martial institution. That was why he had chosen to stay away from the public. But good memory does not mean good power. Shoo! Tian Inso crossed both of his claws, forming a huge net. "Break!" The bulky middle-aged man did not dodge at all as he waved out his stick. Pap! 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 The dark purple claw light was shattered completely. "Impressive. Take another attack from me." Tian Inso had only used 80% of his power. Just as he was about to attack again, he suddenly sensed a sky-piercing sound coming from afar. Someone else is coming. In the sky, a massive silver ship flew over, its speed reaching 8 times the speed of sound. "Yin Feng Feng." Tai Shichong frowned. The silver ship soon arrived on top of the island. "It is the long life tree." Yin Feng Feng recognized the tree in the middle of the island immediately. It is indeed the long life tree. Yi Chen had seen the lady in red take out the long life tree branch back at the Treasure River Island. It looked like it was made out of white jade, smooth without any flaws. This long life tree was snow white as well, except for the fruit which was red in color, looking very eye-catching. "It seems like we are quite lucky." Haiwei laughed. "Let's go." Although the 5 of them were a bit scared of Tai Shichong, it was only that. When they encountered a real treasure, they would have to rely on their own power. It would be impossible for them to back out. The flying ship landed quickly. When it was dozens of meters away from the ground, the five jumped off and stood 100 meters away from the long life tree. Guanqin was just about to take a few steps forward when she was pulled back by Wuxia. Do not get too close. Before the fruit falls, the long life tree will attack actively. Once it bears fruit, it means that it has accumulated enough power, and its power is unpredictable. Chapter 588. The longevity tree was very mysterious. Every time it bore fruit, it meant that it had accumulated enough and made a huge breakthrough. The further it went, the better the effects of the longevity fruit. If the awakening of sentience was the first result, then this was the second. On the longevity tree, the red longevity fruit silently turned fiery red. When it completely turned fiery red, it would be ripe. However, the four groups of people nearby did not look at the longevity fruit that was about to ripen. Instead, they looked at each other, and the atmosphere was tense. There are four groups of people here. I think we should split the fruit into 4 portions, one for each group. What do you think? Before, Tian Yinso still wanted to kick out the middle-aged man and his group so that he could share the fruit with Tai Shichong. But now he did not have that idea anymore. No matter which group he took on, he would be opposed by the other group. After all, no one knew if it would be his turn or not. Even Tian Yinso himself was a bit worried. Therefore, he came up with this idea of splitting the fruit into 4 portions. The middle-aged man sneered. 4 portions? Your idea is not bad. But don't forget that you are only one person. You want to share the fruit with only one person? Do you think we are stupid? You are right. You alone do not have the right to share the fruit. Wuxia did not hold back either. The value of the fruit was immeasurable, and one less person would definitely be a good thing. After all, there were too many people here, and there were 5 of them. Tian Yin's face darkened. It seems like after decades of not coming out, some people do not care about me anymore. I was already a Master Level C of Soul's Realm Master Level Warrior decades ago. At that time, you brats were not even born yet. Since you say that I do not have a share, then we will use our own methods. He did not even think that after decades of not coming out, how many people still knew him. Even if they did, they might not be afraid of him. Use your own methods, I agree. Tai Shichong sounded cold. He did not want to share the fruit with the others in the first place. One fruit could help a warrior reach mid-C of Soul's Realm, from peak level early C of Soul's Realm, and the success rate was at least 80 to 90%. But to reach late C of Soul's Realm from peak level mid-C of Soul's Realm, one fruit would only have 30% success rate. At least 2 or 3 fruits would be enough. I am fine with it. Yin Fengfeng had the advantage of speed. As long as nothing went wrong, she would be the one to get the most fruits. Then let's rely on our own skills. The muscular middle-aged man knew that this was the only solution. Just like that, everyone was temporarily at peace. Their gazes fell on the longevity tree, waiting for the longevity fruits to ripen and fall from the branches. One longevity fruit has more than 80% chance of me reaching the mid-C of Soul's Realm, from peak level early C of Soul's Realm. If I miss this one, it would take me at least a year or 2 of training to reach the mid-C of Soul's Realm. Therefore, I have to get one this time. After reaching the C of Soul's Realm, every little bit of increase in cultivation would be extremely difficult. Yi Chen's cultivation talent was not the best. It could only be said to be excellent. Being able to reach the C of Soul's Realm so quickly was mainly due to all kinds of opportunities, as well as his soul talent. If he could get a longevity fruit and successfully reach mid-C of Soul's Realm, Yi Chen would be able to use the Earth Spirit Pellets and Sky Spirit Pellets to push his cultivation to the next level, reaching peak level mid-C of Soul's Realm. In that case, his overall power would increase by more than just a little bit, and it would definitely increase his battling power drastically. I can't let go of the longevity fruit. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen's eyes turned sharp. There were dozens of longevity fruits on the tree, and more than half of them were still light red, which meant that they were still far from ripening. Among the remaining half, 3 of them were turning red, which meant that they were only 1 step away from ripening. And among these three, one of them was already shaking, looking like it could fall at any second. Pap! Finally, that longevity fruit fell onto the ground and rolled a couple of times. Strangely, no one moved at all, seeming to be hesitating. Tian Inso, didn't you want the longevity fruit? Go and get it. The muscular middle-aged man laughed at Tian Inso. Tian Inso sneered. I will let you have the first one. Go and get it. You are so kind. You are being kind. On the other side, Tai Shichong looked at the longevity fruit that had fallen onto the ground. A light flashed in his eyes before he calmed down. It seems like no one dares to take this risk, one of the twin brothers said. Who dares to take the risk? If the longevity tree still attacks those who get close to it, then they will die for sure. For a longevity fruit, no one would want to put themselves in such a dangerous situation. Right now all we need is a test. As long as someone goes to pick up the longevity fruit and is not attacked by the tree, then it means that there is no danger. That is true, but are we just going to wait like this? On Yi Chen's side, Hai Wuya frowned. The second longevity fruit is about to ripen as well. Unfortunately, no one wants to be the first to go. Yi Chen said, even if there is no danger, it might not be a good thing. He will become the target of everyone. Yi Chen is right. The first longevity fruit is very dangerous. Yan Fengfeng nodded. Time passed slowly, and still, no one went up first. It seemed like everyone was waiting. Shriek. All of a sudden, a sharp bird cry was heard from above the forest. A massive gray eagle flew over, its target being the longevity fruit under the tree. Shoo! The gray eagle was extremely fast and arrived under the tree within a second. Its claws grabbed onto the longevity fruit that had fallen onto the ground before shooting into the sky and flying away. Come down! Without any prior agreement, everyone attacked Gray Eagle together. A scream was heard. The Gray Eagle was torn into pieces, and the longevity fruit fell from the sky. Everyone controlled the angle on purpose, trying to minimize the impact. Plus, the longevity fruit itself was very tough, containing a powerful energy that could block out the impact. Shoo! 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 All of a sudden, four people moved. They were Yan Fengfeng, Tai Shichong, Tian Inso, and the bulky middle-aged man. The four of them were the most powerful ones in the group. Since there was no danger in fighting for the first longevity fruit, they could fight as much as they wanted. Among them, Yan Fengfeng's speed was the fastest. With a flash of blue fire, she had arrived near the longevity fruit, reaching out her hand to suck it. Heaven and Earth Sword. Tai Shichong pointed out his sword finger, and a sword shadow blocked out in front of Yan Fengfeng, cutting off the sucking power. Meanwhile, his body flashed a couple of times, arriving near the longevity fruit as well. Phoenix cut. Yan Fengfeng lifted up her right hand, forming a palm blade, and attacking toward Tai Shichong. Dang! Tai Shichong took out the long sword from his waist, blocking out Yan Fengfeng's flame blade power. You guys stop fighting. This longevity fruit will belong to me for sure. Tian Yinsa's body flashed once, and dozens of black shadows appeared, attacking toward the longevity fruit together. Piss off! The bulky middle-aged man was the slowest, but it was not impossible for him to get the longevity fruit, since there were four of them fighting against each other. He yelled as he lifted his bronze iron stick high into the air, waving it out horizontally, blowing out half of Tian Yinsa's shadows. The longevity fruit was still falling down at a fast speed, but the four's battling speed was even faster. Within a blink of an eye, the four of them had exchanged attacks once. Human and sword merge. Tai Shichong's long sword shook once, and a massive sword light wrapped around him as he flew toward the longevity fruit at a shocking speed. Boom! Boom! Tian Inso and the bulky middle-aged man would not just watch Tai Shichong get the longevity fruit, so they both threw out attacks, trying to shatter the sword light around Tai Shichong's body. But this sword light was extremely tough. Although it was full of cracks, it did not break at all, canceling out the two's combined attacks. Major Phoenix cut. At that critical moment, Yan Fengfeng threw out another palm blade attack. Behind her back, a blue phoenix shadow appeared. It was the shadow of her real body. Crack! The sword light was shattered, and Tai Shicheng was furious. He was not that far away from the longevity fruit, and with the human and sword merge, his speed and defense had both increased drastically. But there were still 4 of them fighting for the longevity fruit, and he alone would not be able to handle the attacks from the 3 of them. This battle sure is intense. Ling Tianhao was dumbfounded. Guan Qin glanced at the second fruit that was about to ripen and said, "This one is about to ripen as well. I will use my movement art to get it as soon as possible." Guan Qin was very confident in her Qinggong, Sky Sea streak. Haiwei laughed. "Junior sister, although your Sky Sea first string is powerful, they won't just stand by and watch as you snatch away the second longevity fruit. Furthermore, at this time, our camp needs to agree on a rule. Whoever gets the longevity fruit first, the other 3 will help him block the attacks from the others." "Yeah, of course." Yichen nodded. "The second longevity fruit is about to ripen. It is about to ripen." So nervous, the people brought by Tai Shicheng and the bulky middle-aged man stared at the second fruit that was about to ripen. If it were not for the fact that the tree would attack anyone who got close to it before the fruit fell, they would have rushed up already, instead of waiting here for nothing. Under everyone's gaze, the second longevity fruit fell down. Shoo! 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 No one could describe the current situation. The longevity fruit was only dozens of meters away from the ground, and it had just fallen down from the tree when everyone started to move. It was like thousands of arrows shooting out at the same time. Shoo! 5 beams of sword light appeared out of his body, as Yichen's speed increased to his limit. His starting speed was already 20 times faster than the speed of sound. Normally, the starting speed would be way lower than the maximum speed. The reason why Yichen could be this fast was because his sword light flying art had improved a while ago. His maximum speed had reached 25 times faster than the speed of sound. Added with his extremely powerful Zhen Yuan control, which had already reached the Zhen Yuan strand level, his starting speed was even faster than normal people's. So fast. Haiwei and the other 2 were shocked. With a flash of sword light, Yichen arrived under the longevity tree. "Little brat, die. If you dare to touch the longevity fruit, you will die without a grave." Right then, Tai Shicheng's people and the bulky middle-aged man's people all attacked toward Yichen. They were all grinding their teeth, wishing they could cut Yichen into 1,000 pieces. "You want me to put down the longevity fruit? In your dreams." A determined look flashed through his eyes as Yichen grabbed the longevity fruit without hesitation and threw it into his storage ring. But he had also taken on 7 to 8 attacks and was drowned in that horrifying qi flow. So reckless. Haiwei shook his head. Chapter 589. It was not that Haiwei did not want to help Yichen block out the attacks, but Yichen's speed was way too fast, and he had been left behind. Plus, he had thought that it would be a big fight for the second fruit, and if one of them managed to get the fruit, the others would have to help him block out the attacks. But right now, Yichen had gotten the fruit at an extremely fast speed, and within that second, at least 7 to 8 attacks had landed on Yichen. There was no way he could react in time. Boom, 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 boom. Yichen's protective Zhen Yuan layer had been shattered within a second, and 7 to 8 powerful qi streams had blown him out for hundreds of meters, crushing him all the way into the jungle. That aggressive qi flow had torn down all the trees in a straight line and sent them into the sky, making another piece of flat land on the island. Ling Tianhao and Guan Qin were both shocked. Yichen is not going to die, is he? They thought that it would be impossible for them to survive under those attacks. It will depend on his luck. But I don't think he will die. He is not someone who would do something crazy for a treasure. At first, Haiwei indeed thought that Yichen would do something crazy. But after thinking about it, Yichen was able to grow from a small martial institution's martial genius to where he was now, so he would not be an impulsive person. He should have a certain level of confidence. As he spoke, Haiwei's speed had finally reached its limit, flying towards Yichen's direction. After all, it was Yichen who had gotten the fruit this time. Based on what they had said before, they had to help Yichen fight against Tai Shicheng and the bulky middle-aged man. On the flat land in the jungle, after the dust had settled, Yi Chen's body appeared in Hai Wuya's sight. At this moment, Yi Chen was in an extremely bad shape. His clothes had almost been torn apart, revealing the golden armor that was shining with a golden luster. In his hands, he was holding two shields, one covering his head and the other covering his lower body. Adding the great armor on his body, he had protected himself without leaving a single gap. Pooh! With a pale face, Yi Chen spat out a mouthful of blood mixed with pieces of his internal organs. There were 7 attacks in total, 4 of which were Sea of Soul Master level, and the other 3 were Peak Taoist level. With my defense, it would be hard for me to block one of them, not to mention 7. Fortunately, the 2 shields and the gold armor helped me block out most of the attacks, so only 30% of them reached my body. Otherwise, I would have died for sure. Although Yi Chen had already anticipated such a situation, there was still a great deal of danger involved. A slight carelessness or an accident would result in a tragic death. Yi Chen, are you all right? Seeing that Yi Chen could still vomit blood, Hai Wuya heaved a sigh of relief. I won't die yet. Before the fight for the longevity fruit, Yi Chen had consumed 2 elixirs to replenish his essence. Now that Yi Chen had activated his undying body and healed his severe internal injuries, the medicinal essence of the elixirs immediately dissolved and replenished his rapidly depleted essence. You are so powerful. You are the first one to get the longevity fruit. Guanqin's speed was even faster than Hai Wuya's, but her reaction speed was obviously not as fast as Hai Wuya's. Therefore, she was delayed for a second, which allowed Hai Wuya to overtake her. Ling Tianhao was the last one to arrive. He said with admiration, Sister Yen and the rest are still fighting for the first fruit. They would never have thought that you would get one before them. Indeed, no one would have thought that Yi Chen would be the first one to get the fruit with his speed that was way faster than the rest. It was supposed to be a messy battle for the second fruit, just like what happened to Yan Fengfeng and the other 3. But the situation right now was something that no one had expected. Yi Chen chuckled. If he did not get the fruit right away, he might not even get one today. But of course, there was still a chance that he might get one, since it would all depend on his luck. Compared to the others, he did not have that much of an advantage in terms of battling power. What? This brat has been attacked by 7 to 8 times, and he is still alive. He is even able to talk. The people who were attacking Yi Chen frowned. They had prepared themselves for the moment that Yi Chen died. They would immediately take his storage ring. But it was obvious that the situation was not going their way. Damn, this is a longevity fruit. It has a huge chance of increasing one's cultivation. The twin brothers were not willing to give up. They stood dozens of meters away, staring at Yi Chen with an evil look in their eyes. Brat, the fruit belongs to the one with power. Hand it over now, and we will let you live. It was the middle-aged man who was standing right next to the bulky one. His face was covered in black hair. Yeah, hand over the fruit, and we will let you live. Otherwise, today will be the day you die. Another person agreed. Putting away his shield, Yi Chen sneered. The one with power will get it. Since you guys have the power, why can't you get it? You are just a bit faster. If we really have to fight, you are not powerful enough. They could all tell that Yi Chen was only at peak level early Sea of Souls realm. Although they were a bit scared, they did not think that Yi Chen's power could be that powerful. Sorry, once it is in my hands, no one can make me spit it out. It would be impossible for Yi Chen to give up on the fruit. These people were right. The treasure belonged to the one with power. With the fruit, his power would be able to reach the next level. No, it would be 2 to 3 levels higher. You want to do this the hard way? Spit it out. The bulky middle-aged man stomped on the ground with his right foot. His body suddenly expanded, turning from 2 meters tall to 4 meters tall. He looked like a giant. His arms were as thick as other people's waists, and the blue veins on them looked like snakes. Once his body expanded to a horrifying size, the bulky man jumped out like a tiger in the forest, bringing up a wave of bloody wind. Body enlargement. Barbarian. Hai Wuya realized as he yelled. I have never fought against a barbarian before. Today I will try. Boom. The two rushed at each other within the blink of an eye, fighting fiercely. Yi Chen, we can only help you take on these two. The rest is up to you. Ling Tianhao and Guan Qin blocked the two people who were with the bulky middle-aged man. Yi Chen said, "Thank you." He was already satisfied with one fruit. If there were more, he would not take any of them. He would fight for more opportunities for Wuxia and the rest. You two stay here and keep an eye on the third fruit. Leave him to us. The twins were very ambitious. They wanted the fruit on Yi Chen, as well as the fruits on the tree. They would not let any of them go. As they spoke, the two approached Yi Chen side by side, staring at him. Yi Chen sneered as he held the Thunder Disaster sword with his right hand. Kill! The twins attacked toward Yi Chen from the left and right. Brat, we are the famous Wind and Thunder martial schools. If you know what is good for you, hand over the fruit. Otherwise, you will lose your life. The Wind and Thunder martial schools were very famous in the Sky martial region. The two brothers were both Master Level C of Soul's Realm warriors. The older brother was called Li Feng, and the younger brother was called Li Lei. Individually, they might not be as powerful as Wuxia, but together, not many people would be able to take them on. It was mainly because the two brothers could communicate with each other mentally and make up for each other's weaknesses. Cut the crap. If you want the fruit, then use your power. If the two brothers were one person, Yi Chen might be afraid. But since there were two of them, he would have a chance. He was best at battling techniques, so he would definitely have a way to stop them from working together. As long as he could find the key, he would be able to take them out one by one. Since you are looking for death, then do not blame us. Wind Fist. The older brother threw out a fist attack, bringing up a tornado. The fist's speed was unbelievably fast and aggressive. Thunder God Kick. The younger brother immediately followed up with a kick, aiming at Yi Chen's lower body. This kick was not any slower than Li Feng's Wind Fist, and contained the profound of thunder. One punch and one kick, the coordination was flawless. I can't fight them head-on. With my power alone, I can't defend against their combined attacks. I have to fight one of them to prevent them from working together. As this thought flashed through his mind, Yi Chen took a step forward. His body suddenly turned illusory, turning into a faint black shadow, as he avoided Li Feng's Wind Fist, and moved in an arc toward Li Lei. Want to interrupt our cooperation? In your dreams. Li Feng sneered and turned his body, bringing up a fierce tornado as he charged toward Yi Chen. Meanwhile, Li Lei's attacks did not stop, filling the sky with thunder and lightning footprints. As long as Yi Chen dared to come closer, he would be sure to turn him into charred pieces. Swoosh! Yi Chen suddenly stopped. As if he was stepping on a sword light, he gave up on Li Lei and flew toward Li Feng. His figure flickered like a sword light. Courting death. Li Feng was slightly surprised. Only now did he realize that Yi Chen's target wasn't Li Lei, but him. However, he wasn't afraid at all as he continued to throw out fist shadows in the tornado. Earth-shattering sky. How could Yi Chen not know that this kind of small trick would not work on the two brothers who were connected to each other? His real target was still Li Lei. He rubbed his right foot on the ground, and a wave of hidden power followed the ground and drilled into Li Lei's foot. It suddenly exploded, sending rocks flying everywhere. Although Li Lei wasn't hurt, his attacks were halted for a moment. This pause gave Yi Chen a chance. Shadow explosion. Bam! Yi Chen's body shook, turning into dozens of black shadows. Li Lei's leg shadows and Li Feng's fist shadows destroyed most of them. But Yi Chen's real body followed the gap between Li Lei's kick shadows and slashed out a crescent-shaped sword chi. Li Lei let out a furious roar as he took out a shield to block the sword chi. Speed sword hell. Yi Chen's attacks were like mercury spilling on the ground, continuous and unstoppable. The sword shadows were so fast that one couldn't even see them clearly as they shot out, devouring Li Lei. Ting! Ting! Metal exploding sounds were heard as Li Lei waved his shield to block out all of the sword shadows. Back out! After the speed sword hell came the gold resonant radiance sword. The golden sword light violently slashed on Li Lei's shield, blowing him dozens of meters away. Yi Chen held his Thunder Disaster sword, and continued to crush his opponent while maintaining a distance from Li Feng. Bastard! Li Lei fought back, but Li Feng had also caught up. Yi Chen smiled coldly as his body turned into a shadow, sticking close to Li Lei. Li Feng was afraid of accidentally injuring Li Lei, so he couldn't use all of his strength at the moment. Chapter 590. Little bastard, you are too dirty. If you have the guts, then let's fight fair and square. Li Feng threw out a couple of punches, but all of them landed on Li Lei. Yi Chen's step art was just too weird, and he managed to use Li Lei as a shield every time. It made Li Feng grind his teeth, as he said aggressively. Li Feng's words had shown Yi Chen the true meaning of shamelessness. Fair and square? How dare you say that? 2 against 1. And you still think that the advantage is not enough? What a sharp tongue. Later on, you will not even be able to cry even if you want to. Li Feng was annoyed. Brother, I have already figured out this brat's power. I alone will be enough to take on him. Even if I cannot, I can still drain his Zhen Yuan and mental state. Once his battling power is weakened, you can join in then. Li Lei and Yi Chen had exchanged dozens of attacks, and he realized that Yi Chen only had a powerful step art and a sharp sword art. Other than that, he did not have any other advantages. All right, I will be on the side to support you. Li Feng thought about it and agreed. Both he and his brother were not weak. As long as they did not run into people like Yin Fengfeng and Tai Shichong, it would not be a problem for them to exchange 1 to 200 attacks. Plus, even if he joined in, it would be pointless. Brat, just wait for your death. Even if you hand over the fruit now, I will not let you go. Leaving behind a threat, Li Feng backed out 100 steps. Hearing him, a strange cold light flashed through Yi Chen's eyes. Indeed, he did not have much of an advantage in other areas, but he still had his double sword art. The completed Sky Thunder Cut's power was not as powerful as the gold resonant radiant sword art, but combined with the reverse Sky Thunder Cut, its power would definitely be more powerful than the latter. It was almost equivalent to a 70% trained mid-rank Profound Sense sword art. Combined with his powerful sword intent, its attacking power would be unstoppable. However, he would have to wait for a chance, waiting for the moment when Li Lei let his guard down, so that he could wound him badly. As for killing him, it might not be possible, since the power gap between the two was not that big. Of course, if he summoned the Dream-Eating Wolf, he might be able to kill him. But the Dream-Eating Wolf was Yi Chen's ace card, and he would not let it out until the last moment. Ding ding dang dang. Li Lei held the shield in his hand to protect his body. His feet weren't slow either as he repeatedly kicked out Thunder Lightning Leg shadows that contained the Profound of Thunder. The Thunder Lightning Leg shadows were powerful and heavy. Although the attack frequency wasn't as high as Li Feng's Fierce Wind Fist, its power was much greater. Even Yi Chen was willing to take a kick from it. Void Shattering Finger. Facing the Thunder and Lightning Leg shadows, Yi Chen leaped up from the ground and pointed out his left hand. It was the third movement of the Void Shattering Finger art, the Void Shattering Finger. Pop! The massive cyan finger carried the Space Intent domain. It had touched the edge of Space Power Upanishad. After a flash, it had opened a tunnel in the sky of leg shadows. While it was getting deeper, the cyan finger was taking in the energy of the lightning leg shadows. It was really strange. What kind of finger technique is this? Could it be the profound meaning of darkness? No, the aura of the profound meaning of darkness is not like this. Although Li Lei was experienced and knowledgeable, he couldn't figure out what power Upanishad Yi Chen was using. Li Feng, who was 100 steps away, was shocked. Finger shape, taking in the opponent's power. Could this be Xiaohozuan's void-shattering finger art? Why does he have it as well? Xiaohozuan was one of the top 5 young warriors. He was known for his finger arts, which was why he was called the Godly Finger Master. Xiaohozuan was good at a lot of finger arts, but in one of the battles, he had once revealed a horrifying and strange finger art. It was just like Yi Chen's finger art, able to take in the opponent's power and increase its attacking power. Of course, because of the different Zhenyuan attributes, the colors would be different. Plus, the form of Xiaohozuan's void-shattering finger was slightly different from Yi Chen's as well. However, that aura was exactly the same. It must be the void-shattering finger art. Li Feng's eyes flickered. Amaranthine nature. Opening up a tunnel with one finger attack, Yi Chen jumped into it. The Thunder Disaster sword was like a beam of lightning, stabbing toward Li Lei, who was at the end of the tunnel. Shoo! The sword's speed kept increasing, until Li Lei could no longer sense the existence of the sword. Piss off! With a roar, Li Lei leaned his body to the side. His left leg was like a lightning whip, as it lashed out, while holding up his shield in front of his body. Since he could not avoid that sword attack from Yi Chen, then he would not try to avoid it. He leaned his body to the side, avoiding the critical parts of his body. Plus, with the shield to protect him, his left leg kicked toward Yi Chen's waist. He believed that as long as he was hit by that kick, even if Yi Chen's spine did not break, it would at least have a crack, and he would definitely be wounded more severely than him. Pooh! Yi Chen's sword attack was even faster than Li Lei's shield movement. It brushed past the edge of the shield and pierced through Li Lei's left shoulder. Right at that moment, he shifted his body to the side and took out his Thunder Disaster sword. With a flash, he dodged Li Lei's kick attack. It should be known that even in the mental world of the Sky Martial Pavilion, Yi Chen was able to face 64 mental entities with similar cultivation and willpower without being hurt at all. How could he not dodge Li Lei's attack? In other words, Li Lei's idea of exchanging injuries for injuries was just a fool's dream. Brat, you have pissed me off. I will make sure you die without a grave. Blood splashed out from his shoulder like a fountain. Li Lei's face was twisted as a bright thunder appeared on his body. The thunder was like a snake, flickering continuously. Every time it landed on the ground, it would be scorched black and crack. The mud would crystallize, and the air would be filled with space ripples. It seems like he is going to use his ace attack. Yi Chen and Li Lei maintained a suitable distance, which would not be too close to Li Lei, and would not be caught by Li Feng's sneak attack. Pap! A thick beam of lightning flashed past above Li Lei's head. As the lightning flashed past, Li Lei had already disappeared, as if the lightning had taken him away. But Yi Chen knew that it was just an illusion created by the opponent's fast speed. He was approaching at an extreme speed, and his whole body seemed to have merged with the lightning. Die! Thunder God descends. In the sky above Yi Chen, Li Lei appeared and threw out a kick. The second his right leg landed, Yi Chen seemed to see a thunder shadow behind Li Lei's back. It was different from the demi-beast's bloodline shadow, and also different from Yan Fengfeng's real body shadow. It was a kind of chi field shadow, which meant that the power of this attack had already reached an extremely horrifying level. Crack! That kick was like a god of thunder descending from the sky. Yeah, Li Lei is fighting against Yi Chen with brute force. On the other side, Yan Fengfeng and the other three had already finished their battle. In the end, the one who got the fruit was still Yan Fengfeng, who was the fastest. After all, when there were a lot of people, the advantage of speed was irreplaceable, especially when the four of them were at the same power level. Yi Chen was already prepared for the counterattack. He held the Thunder Disaster sword in his right hand, while holding the gold sword in his left hand. The two swords crossed and attacked upward. At the point where the two swords met, a perfect thunder ball was born and expanded rapidly. When it reached 1 meter in size, it clashed with the leg shadow that was filled with thunder light. Rumble! The two of them were both using the profound laws of lightning. When the profound laws of lightning clashed against the profound laws of lightning, the resulting destructive power was astonishing. The sky immediately darkened, and thick bolts of lightning struck everywhere. The surroundings of the two of them had turned into a world of lightning. Dragon-like lightning bolts swam everywhere, and there were even lightning bolts underground. The area within a radius of several thousand meters had turned into a scorched land. Only the area within a radius of 100 meters around the longevity tree was not invaded by any lightning. It was as if an invisible power had isolated it from the longevity tree. How is this possible? Li Lei shockingly realized that his Thunder Profound attack could not compete with Yi Chen's. His powerful chi field had absorbed a huge amount of thunder and lightning, and attacked back at him. This attack of his is a mid-rank profound sense martial art, but it should only be 70 to 80% trained. Judging purely on power, it should be a bit more powerful than my double sword style combined. Moreover, his cultivation is one realm higher than mine as well, at peak level mid-sea of Soul's realm. But my sword intent has made up for all of the disadvantages, and it has given me quite an advantage. The sword intent could make the attacks more condensed, and the thunder power was also one of the attacks. With the amplification of the sword intent, its power would naturally be more powerful than Li Lei's. Break! Using both of his arms, the two swords in Yi Chen's hands rubbed against each other and created electricity, slicing out to the sides. The explosive attack had broken through Li Lei's defense immediately. Stop! Seeing that Li Lei was about to be wounded badly, Tai Shicheng's brows turned cold. He shook his long sword and a circular sword chi shot out, tearing apart the sky. Major Phoenix cut. Yin Fengfeng would not let Tai Shicheng stop Yi Chen, so she threw out a fire palm blade to block out the sword chi. Yin Fengfeng, you. Tai Shicheng stared at Yin Fengfeng angrily. Swoosh. The winner between Yi Chen and Li Lei had finally been decided. Li Lei's whole body had been blown into the sky by Yi Chen, leaving a crisscross sword mark on his chest. It was so deep that the bones could be seen. The powerful sword chi had already invaded his body, destroying everything. In other words, his battling power had been reduced by 80%, and he was no longer a threat. I told you to stop. Tai Shicheng stared at Yi Chen without blinking. Do you think I will stop just because you told me to? Yi Chen took a deep breath and looked at Tai Shicheng. Li Lei. The battle was way too intense, and Li Feng could not get involved at all. Only now did he yell out and fly into the sky to hold the wounded Li Lei. Take revenge for me. Li Lei had not only been attacked by Yi Chen, but he had also been attacked by the thunder power and fainted immediately. Yi Chen, how dare you hurt my brother? Landing on the ground with Li Lei in his arms, Li Feng looked extremely evil. Yi Chen ignored him. Without Li Lei, Li Feng would not be his rightful opponent. If he really wanted to take revenge, he would not mind letting the two brothers go back lying on the ground. The longevity fruit is ripe. Right then, the third longevity fruit had finally ripened and fell from the tree. The other three who were battling with Hai Wuya and Ling Tianhao heard that the fruit was ripe, so they gave up immediately and ran toward the tree. Hai Wuya was about to make his move when Yin Fengfeng stopped him. She shook her head and said, 3 longevity fruits. And we have already gotten 2. If the third one falls into our hands, we will be the target of everyone. Let's not fight for this one. Let them fight for it. You are right. Hai Wuya nodded, smiling as he watched the others fight for the fruit. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.